Welcome to the Grappling Grappling Rewind Podcast.
Welcome to this week on the Grappling Rewind Podcast. On this week's show, we are going to recap all of the action of Who's Number 127. Plus, we are going to preview BJJ Stars 15, the 185-pound GP, and some super fights on that card. As always on the show, I am your host, Maine, joined by co-host
Miranda.
How you doing, Miranda?
Pretty good. How are you?
Doing pretty good. Hopefully, this is the last 2 weeks that we are in this space. The studio's almost done. I'm believing Miranda. I've only been saying that for 3 months. Any audio you deal with, any issues, again, apologies, we're almost there. That is my hope. I'm trying to speak it into the air to make it happen.
Yeah.
So.
And at least you have reasons to have it done by a certain time.
Absolutely, I do as well.
So we'll get that together.
So, big news this week. We have really no big news this week. Allegedly, Gordon is now retired. Danaher is now retired. Sort of, it got rumored, it got talked about. Danaher allegedly has supposedly has like a surgery coming up. He's going to take some time off. We saw him for the first time in like 50 or 15 plus years in a shirt that wasn't a rash guard.
I didn't catch that at all.
He was wearing an all black shirt for the New Zealand rugby team.
So is that how we know he's retired? Like he's now going to wear regular shirts?
I forget. There was a bunch of articles that came out this week. That was the headline. We've kind of thought Gordon was retired
since he did that YouTube about all the drugs he does.
Yeah, all the steroids that he did throughout his career, and like that's really only a video you put out when you're gonna retire.
Yeah.
He also had the extra match at ADCC that we anticipated was probably his last match because he looked super sick and unwell, and also like he wanted to beat Marcelo's record at ADCC for a number of matches,
Probably.
And that would put him over, so we wouldn't have to do it again. Like it all kind of lined up. Again, if he unretires, this is jiu-jitsu and MMA. So it wouldn't surprise me to have him unretire at some point in the future for a big payday. But given that also New Wave is now opening up a real gym, like a members gym for like the general public, it wouldn't surprise me that him and Danaher then go and open this gym and now put their efforts into like running the business of the gym.
I somehow like slept through all of that.
It's been the past 2 days.
I don't remember any of that going on.
So that's the news this week. Not allegedly, Craig Jones posted something yesterday or today that was allegedly him and Gordon are going to be the two coaches on Tug, the Ultimate Grappler, which we've heard about for a little bit. Allegedly, it was like Gordon and Mikey or Craig and Mikey.
Yeah.
We've heard a lot about this. We don't have anything that's actually news and information. It could be just Craig Jones kind of trolling people. But regardless...
I mean, he kind of does that.
He does that a lot. He does that to the point where it is difficult to follow when it's not a troll.
Dude, the video that I sent you this morning of the isn't it quokka? Is that what that little animal is?
Quokka?
The little animal that
might have been a quokka.
That the guy like picks up and then it looks like he throws it at Craig and Craig catches it. I got really mad and then I realized they were throwing a stuffed animal. Mm-hmm. But at first I was like, oh shit, because that's that little animal that people do shit like that.
Yeah.
And then
they're very friendly little
They get in a
animals.
bunch of trouble for it because they like the Australians are very touchy about their wildlife.
Yeah, their wildlife's awesome.
Yeah.
So that's the news this week. We have other stuff going on, but we have nothing kind of substantial. So I want to honestly just move right into the Who's Number 127 recap. Miranda, do you have any other news you want to talk about? I think ADXC also happened this weekend. We're not going to get a chance to cover that this week because of Who's Number 127.
Peter Frank hit like a flying arm lock thing.
Shocker.
I know.
Shocker to no one.
I just remember seeing that and being like, that's awesome.
Peter Frank, yeah. So, Miranda, do you want to go? Do you want to start in bout order, or do you want to go in a different order here for the recap?
I don't really care.
Moving into the bout order, main evented by Nicky Rodriguez and Kaynan Duarte. Again, this is their third matchup. Their two first matchups coming up in ADCC 2019 and Fight to Win 135 in 2019 as well, about 2.5 weeks after ADCC. If you want more information about the history of this matchup, 2 weeks ago we actually devoted pretty much the entire show to doing just a preview of this matchup, discussing the history, the dynamics of it. This matchup, kind of like the co-main event, it started one way where I was like, yep, this is very much a one-way traffic.
Yeah.
And then later in the match, Nicky Rodriguez really turned it on and mounted Kaynan for, 5 or 10 minutes. It wasn't 10 minutes. It was
I
like
think it was 5 minutes.
it was the entirety of the last
It
section
was
of
the
the match.
entire last section of the match.
But early in the match, to Kaynan Duarte's credit,
He gets
we
his back.
we had a lot of like standing wrestling. It was very
Does
non-committal.
he get his back, or does he almost get his back?
I would say he gets his back. Like, I think there's hooks in there for a second. I think Rodriguez does a really good job in a way that
I don't know how exactly explain this, because it's not that he spazzes, but he doesn't stop moving.
him and his brother.
Yeah. When somebody gets him into a bad position, he does not stop moving. Let's say it this way, he scrambles until he is out of said position. He does not stop.
Really what you should be doing.
Yeah.
Again, the big issue with that from like a lot of lower level people is that they'll gas themselves out and then be too exhausted to defend.
Or they'll give something.
Up. And Rodriguez is like, and his brother, his brother has a different style, but
Yeah.
he is very, not cautious, but he's very deliberate in the way that he moves, where
Yeah.
he's very kind of calculated and like, I'm going to keep moving here, but at no point am I going to let you like crawl up and get an arm or
Yeah.
get my back or get my neck. And so Duarte, for the beginning, after they go through the first protracted wrestling exchanges, Duarte hits like a double to single.
Yeah.
Again, good transition here. Gets Rodriguez down, and then Rodriguez immediately goes to turtle, goes to fours, and Duarte spends the next like couple of minutes really hunting for Nick Rodriguez's back.
Something that's crazy that I watched Kaynan do, and then I rewatched Kaynan do, that I never really thought about before, is he either kicks out or uses his feet and feet as hooks to pull out Nicky Rod's legs when he's in turtle. Like when he's turtled up, he like hits you in the kneecaps or like pulls your legs back so that you're constantly like basically
You're having to reset the
yeah,
position.
you're like you're bellying down every like couple seconds, and you have to pull your legs back in. Or I don't see many people do that. I see many people like try to get their hooks in, try to do stuff, try to climb, that kind of stuff. But like Kaynan like almost pulls your legs out from under you, and then as you're trying to like stack your legs back in is when he like tries to get
in that transition
Yeah.
to cap. Again, it's really effective. It was so cool to see this, again, in contrast to us watching the first couple of matches last week or 2 weeks ago at this point, the differences in Nick Rodriguez. I'm happy that I think we called the dynamics of this match perfectly. It was first match, ADCC 2019 in the finals. We saw Kaynan Duarte get Rodriguez's back late,
Yeah.
and then be able to hold it. And our previewer went, I don't think he will be able to do that again in the way that he did in 2019.
Yeah.
And that was the case. It was like Rodriguez has become a much better. Again, Rodriguez in 2019 had been training, 2.5 years?
Yeah.
Now you add 5+ years of training, like you triple his training time, and even at a higher level now, in higher level rooms, his back defense has gotten good. Kaynan was never able to really establish long-term back control and start have a hand fight with Nick Rodriguez. Like Duarte spent the entire time trying to kind of settle Rodriguez on the back and was never able to progress to, okay, looking to lock in the choke, looking to fight through the choke. Rodriguez was just a step ahead of every transition that Duarte wanted to make, and it was great. It was great to see, again, a match in 2019 where you saw technical issues in Nick Rodriguez's game that kind of exploited, and then again in 2025, and you're like, oh, that issue you had before is just gone.
Yeah.
You have just corrected it. You are just an improved guy from in the past 6 years. Because that's not, and weirdly enough, in this sport, that's not always the case.
Yeah.
We have plenty of guys that like, hey man, you got hit with this 8 years ago, and it is still something you can get hit with, and you watch it, you're like, dude, why didn't you fix this problem? Rodriguez has fixed that problem. Like, he now knows how to defend the back and is very good at defending the back. So that was the first section of the match. It was like, cool, this looks like one-way traffic. This looks like Duarte clearly in control. And then they get back to the feet. Rodriguez tacks out, Kaynan tries to start to chase him. They get to the edge of the mat. They have a reset. And then suddenly, it's a little bit different of a match. We see Nick Rodriguez shooting pretty much the exact same double to single that Kaynan hits. He puts Kaynan down.
Yeah.
And then...
And does a little bit faster. Like,
yeah.
It was almost like, and I don't remember if Nicky Rod's the type or not, but some people are slow starters. And a slow starter, like, you're not going to shoot the same way until you warm up a little bit.
Yeah.
And it was almost like, at first, it was like he didn't really try really hard to not have Kaynan take him down.
It seemed like he was willing to work for the willing to work through the he's willing to play jiu-jitsu now.
He was opting to move a little slower. Like he didn't really fight the takedown as hard as I expected him to.
One thing I forgot about this. This is wild to me. We saw Nick Rodriguez play guard.
Yeah.
For like a bit of this match, and Duarte being really unable to lock him down and pass, and I was really impressed. I was like, oh, Nick Rodriguez can defend the back now.
Yeah.
And also, like, Nicky Rod can, like, it's not like he's not throwing up subs from guard on a guy like Kaynan, but he is able to push and keep the range in the guard to a distance that Kaynan doesn't really feel comfortable passing. And then eventually he just techs up out of it. And it was just, oh, snap. 4 or 5 years ago, he would have absolutely passed, gotten on top, and, like, been able to keep Rodriguez there for the entire time and get the back. Now Rodriguez can play enough of a guard where it's like, oh, you're playing guard against Kaynan Duarte, and he can't pass you. That was wildly impressive to me as well.
You were also going to touch on Kaynan's. This is the later match fact about Kaynan not trying to kip out.
Oh yeah. So after the takedown for Nick Rodriguez is on top, and I saw something really interesting because, like you said, the speed changed for Rodriguez, and I went, oh, is Kaynan tired? And we were watching Kaynan on top. I was watching Kaynan on top, and I was watching Kaynan mouth breathe, and I was like, why is he this tired trying to pass?
The thing is, he was if you watch any of the lead up things, they brought in some like high level college wrestlers that were huge to like have Kaynan wrestle with.
Kaynan was also working with J-Flow. He was at Legion doing judo. Like,
so yeah,
it was really interesting to watch Duarte see like. And again, can be the Leandro Lo thing, where Leandro Lo always looked dog tired. He didn't really change how he played. Dante Leon looks really tired. Doesn't really change how he plays. Some guys just look like that. Kaynan looked tired here, and it seemed like he slowed down. Duarte's never really a super explosive grappler. It's just not a style he plays. He is a smaller guy in this division, but he has the size and the mass to deal with it. But he is super strong in this division, but not necessarily explosively quick most of the time.
In most positions.
In most positions.
In wrestling positions he is, but in jiu-jitsu positions he is not.
He's a grinder.
Yeah.
So to watch Rodriguez then get Kaynan down and Kaynan like look visibly like, okay, a little tired here, then we saw Rodriguez pass.
Yes.
And it was like, oh, okay, you're moving through Duarte's guard pretty confidently here. Gets around, gets mount, and then I went, okay, Rodriguez has a good mount. We know he has a good mount. And then he sits and mount on Kaynan Duarte. And I was like, okay, Duarte's gonna get out, he's gonna move, he's gonna defend. Nick Rodriguez goes for the head and arm choke, kind of moves his arm back. One thing that struck me the most, probably in this entire match, was the way that Nick Rodriguez gets double unders on Kaynan Duarte in mount. Kaynan Duarte at one point has one hand in front pummeled in, and one hand is a little high.
Yeah.
And Nick Rodriguez has the overhook, so Duarte's where he wants to be traditionally in mount with the hand underneath towards the hip. And Nick Rodriguez doesn't really change his position that much. He rocks his shoulder back, and he just punches the underhook underneath. He doesn't have to do this big motion, this big scoop motion. He just beats Kaynan in the underhook game with one motion. And I don't know, it happened late, probably halfway through the mount series in the last 5 or 7 minutes of the match. But it was very striking to me that he just I just decided to pummel and win the pummel battle. Like, there wasn't a pummel battle. It was just him taking the underhook.
But if you don't have an underhook, you're not going to kip. Because that's how you beat the kip.
Yeah, but
you take the underhooks away.
But it was just so wild to watch Rodriguez just be able to take that tool away from Kaynan as easily as he did. And not easily as saying Kaynan's bad, but just not a lot of guys are going to win that underhook battle like that without getting moved, without having position. But this, I think, kind of leads into Kaynan Duarte's strategy going into this match. It was, I don't think Kaynan was unable to get him out.
Yeah.
And I think it was because, he couldn't foot trap because Rodriguez plays too dynamically. He plays too chest low, so he can't turn his hips. So the only option you really have left here is a kipping escape, that pushing on the hips, bucking up. But I think Duarte was unwilling to do that because I think he knew.
It's a lot of weight to kip, too.
It is, but I mean, they're about the same size. I think they were within
Yeah.
5 pounds of each other. They
Yeah,
were very close. I think Duarte knew that if I kip, Rodriguez is going to get his head behind the shoulder, he's going to get my back, and he's going to finish. He's going to get the rear naked choke.
Yeah.
And I think Duarte was willing to just wait for his opportunity because we did not see him work the kipping escape.
Would you
That's my only kind of
like,
my only
because
understanding
like,
here.
yeah, I'm just thinking like when somebody kips you, how easy it is to take someone's back. Most of the time, like to jump an arm or a leg, it's easy for my kip.
The way that Nick Rodriguez plays the mount, we've seen it. So typically when you kip someone, it's because you can get their hips super far away and you lift up and you get your knees back
Yeah.
in front of them. The way that Nick Rodriguez plays, he plays really chest heavy.
Yeah.
And he plays a higher mount than a lot of heavyweights tend to do.
Yeah.
If you're going to kip him off.
No, I'm just thinking because I have a team member who's large and he kips me all the time. And I'm trying to think of the different things that I try to do to not get kipped or how the kipping happens.
If you're going to kip at the hips, Nick Rodriguez doesn't take you back. If you're going to do what Victor Hugo does and kind of push at his shoulders, Nick Rodriguez isn't really one to jump an armbar, but I think Duarte probably doesn't have the length to be able to have that that push that Hugo uses to get out of Nick Rodriguez's like top control.
Yeah.
And so Kaynan is stuck in this position where it's like, cool, I'm not going to kip. I'm not going to give him that opportunity to take my back because Rodriguez is a phenomenal back taker and a phenomenal rear naked choke artist. So Duarte's just stuck in mount defending for minutes.
Yeah. I think, I mean, it would be easier for, I don't know. I don't think about kips when you're able to take someone's back from a kip because your hips are so far away from them at that point. How are you going to how are you going to pull someone in?
You get past the shoulder. He's gonna daylight that shoulder because what Kaynan's doing the whole time is his shoulders are flat.
Yeah.
You're stuck in mount if you're flat there, but the shoulders never come up because of how
because
high Rodriguez
if you put your head behind, I'm just thinking like if your hips are up in the air, like if you're being kipped and your hips are up in the air, like how are you then going to turn around and try to take someone's back from there? You would jump a leg before you would take their back.
I think Rodriguez he tacks up that topside leg.
Okay.
And then as you kip out, he rotates and he gets his body behind your shoulder.
I'll have to Google that.
That's what
I just I like my brain isn't making sense, but it could also be that, you know, I'm
on tons of espresso.
I could be on tons of espresso, but like like body dimensions don't make sense in this situation for me for some reason, but
That's
anyway.
my thought here, but that's kind of my only tactical reason that I can think why Kaynan would keep his shoulders so pinned to the mat and try to avoid.
Well, I get that because you don't want, you don't even like the head and arm. You want to fight so that he doesn't get behind that shoulder. Right.
It was just a really interesting kind of dynamic of the match from that point on. It was Nick Rodriguez imposing. He had the best position to work. He was dominant in mount, and I think pretty easily wins the decision here after some adversity early in the match. But it was just very interesting. It was sort of the dynamic we called. He didn't get the sub, didn't get the finish, but Nick Rodriguez.
I thought he was trying to smother him a few times.
He was definitely trying to smother him a few times, which I was like, if he gets that. And Gordon couldn't do it to Pedro Mourinho. Like, that would be the funniest thing ever. And it looked like Duarte did not like getting smothered. No. He was like, I do not like this. And that is when we saw him kick. We did see him kick, but also with that, you can't really take the back off the smother because your hands are both committed behind their neck. So that is the one place we did see him kick. But when Rodriguez was in like a low mount, a high chest mount, we didn't.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else on this match?
No.
I was incredibly impressed with it being the same dynamics as their 2019 match, but Nick Rodriguez basically showing all of the new tools and skills that he had. Yeah. I would love to see these guys go at it again at ADCC.
I'm sure they will.
I would love that with again a full camp Kaynan like ready with kind of the Superman he looks like at ADCC.
Well, and they also just had Dima with a whole like camp to like help them with little things. B team
brought back in Dima.
Yeah.
Dima I can never get Dima's last name.
I don't know. It's just Dima.
Great strategist, great coach. I love that B team needs a coach. Every gym needs a coach. I love that they have brought Dima back in to be that coach for them. Like, I think that whole team looks way better when they have a little more directionality in their coaching.
Well,
and it's great.
he also picks out little things for them to work on, or little things that they're missing. Sometimes you need somebody to tell you that you're doing something. Or that
Most people, like even at the higher levels, most people are great athletes, but it's a whole different set of skills to identify things that you need improvement or work on or can exploit. That's a whole different set of skills. And having a coach just there to give that skill and give you that information is so helpful for all camps. So that's all I got on that. Let's move on to the co-main event, word I couldn't come up with for a second. Luke Griffith defeats Victor Hugo by decision. This was, again, like, it's kind of like a mirror match of the first of the main event here. It was Victor Hugo early putting Luke Griffith in some problems. Getting his back, getting him down, getting through, and Luke Griffith going, shit, this is bad, defending. But like you said with Nick Rodriguez, consistently moves. At no point really is Luke Griffith ever statically just defending Victor Hugo. Like, there's little moments here and there, a little more than Rodriguez, but Luke Griffith is 3 to 4 inches taller than Rodriguez.
He has some crazy dimensions.
Yeah, he is long and lanky.
Yeah.
But in a way,
in a heavy way. He's a heavier
he's like
gentleman.
6'5".
Yeah, but he's like long and lanky.
Yes, like Victor Hugo, I think still outweighed him by like 40 pounds or something like that.
No, but Luke probably has longer legs than Victor Hugo.
Yeah, Luke was the bigger guy here by far.
Which gives you a benefit, like passing the guard and stuff like that, because you have more of that length to kind of work with.
Yeah. He defends. And again, he's just consistently good defense, rotating. I love this match in watching the defense from Luke Griffith, because you watched him consistently, like, he would fight all three. He would fight the hands, he would fight the shoulders, he would fight the hips. He would kind of interplay between all three. And a lot of times guys get really razor focused on one, and that saves them in it versus lower level guys it works.
Yeah.
But versus the higher level guys, like the guys like Victor Hugo, the upper echelon of elite world class guys, if you're just fighting one thing, they're gonna make transitions. They're gonna use the two, either the hand fight or the foot fight, and they're gonna beat you. For Luke to be able to fight all three and be able to get out of Victor Hugo spoke worlds to like how good Luke Griffith is. Hey,
especially because Victor Hugo kind of beat up everybody else.
Yeah, Victor Hugo's been beating up everyone else recently, and I was like, okay, if he can deal with Victor Hugo on his back and like not settling position and like get out of this, I think Luke Griffith is the guy for these world tournaments coming up.
Yeah.
I think he will be the guy to beat, the number one seed. He now has a win over Kaynan Duarte and Victor Hugo. The Nick Rodriguez match is the match to make.
Yeah.
So that was the beginning of the match with Hugo and Luke Griffith's back, and I was like, okay, yep, this is how I could imagine this going. And then Luke Griffith goes, hey man, I'm 6'5", and I know how to use that in my wrestling. I'm going to take you down with my 6'5" arms, and then be in a position to take your back.
Yes.
And we saw Luke Griffith on Victor Hugo's back, and it was like, oh, this guy has good back control. Yeah. This guy has, like, maybe not Gordon levels of back control, but you can see it from here. There was not a whole lot of mistakes. He knew how to use his length. He knew how to use his chest pressure, his hip pressure. He knew how to get in front of Hugo with the hand fight. And Victor Hugo was fighting a very uphill battle here, trying to get out of the back control. And Luke Griffith, very clearly for this, takes the second, 2/3 of the match with that takedown. With a guard pass, he guard passes Victor Hugo, which was super impressive, and then runs away with it. It was incredibly impressive because we've known Luke Griffith was good.
Yeah.
Again, he medaled at ADCC. He loses to Penna, which is like, yeah, everyone's lost to Penna, dog. Everyone's lost to Penna.
Yeah.
He's phenomenally difficult to beat in any rule set. But now he's beat Victor Hugo. Now he's beat Kaynan Duarte. the match to make now is the Nick Rodriguez match. I want to see it. I don't know if we've seen it before. I didn't look it up before the show, but these two guys look worlds different than they did even a couple years ago.
I feel like we have seen them before.
I feel like it was in an EBI. I feel like it was in an EBI a couple of years ago, the same one that Big Dan was in, the one that Mason Fowler was in, the one that Patrick was in. I think it was that EBI, the heavyweight one. But I don't remember if they met or if they didn't meet or if it was opposite sides of the brand. I don't remember exactly how it shook out. I don't care about that, really, because both Nick and Luke look so different. Mm-hmm.
Who's number one are we watching?
27.
Okay, freaking AI fucked it up because AI said Nick Rodriguez and Luke Griffith faced off at the main event at who's number 127.
That's not right, AI.
That is not right, AI. AI, you are wrong.
I did watch the matches.
I know. That's what I was. Oh, Eddie Bravo Invitational 20.
Was I right?
The absolutes. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
That was the absolutes.
Still got it. That lives in my brain. That's why I can't learn Spanish.
Rodriguez defeated Griffith by armbar submission.
Yeah. That was, 3 years ago?
2022.
Yeah, look at that. Off rip, offhand. I still got it. So I want to see that match again. 3 years ago, Luke looks like a different guy. Nick looks like a different guy.
He's 2 inches taller.
Yeah.
Luke Griffith is 6'5", and Rodriguez is 6'3".
Yeah, and they're about the same size. Like
they're just different
weight-wise.
body.
They're different
body
bodies.
types.
So that was that. Again, incredibly impressive.
Nick Rodriguez does look a lot skinnier nowadays. Like he's thinned out a lot more than I.
He's less bodybuilder now.
Yeah.
Like he's now like, hey man, I'm gonna be the best guy in the world.
Yeah.
He is less concerned than he was blue belt, purple belt at like having the bodybuilder build.
Yeah.
The bodybuilder build. And now he's more focused on like the grappler build, which still likes the aesthetics, but he's gotten older. He's got a kid now. I think he's less concerned about the optics as he is of like, I'm going to go and win whatever I have to do to get myself in that shape to win. I'm going to do it. So I got nothing else on the main event and the co-main event. Anything you got?
Nope.
They were very fun matches that, again, had those dynamic swings that are pretty rare in grappling matches. So it's good. Let's move on to the Women's Featherweight Championship. This was Helena Cravar defeating Elizabeth Clay by rear naked choke. They're now 1-1. This was a rematch from ADCC West Coast Trials 2021.
Yes.
2022?
It's whichever one we went to.
22,
we were
I
there.
think. Yeah, we were there. We watched this Matt side. This was Elizabeth was in this much longer than we kind of not had anticipated, but last week we said this was going to go one of two ways. One, it was going to be kind of a slower, boring match, which we got called out for, and I appreciate that. And then two, we were talking about Helena Cravar being able to capitalize on the leg lock focus game that Elizabeth Clay plays, that inverted knee bar off the knee bar sweep, and then the heel hook transitions. That is exactly what happened.
Yep.
And we've now seen Elizabeth Clay has a very good game, and it beats almost everyone. The problem is the upper echelon, like Brianna St. Marie, now Helena Cravar.
Yeah.
Elizabeth's game has looked very similar for
A very long time.
5+ years now.
Yeah.
Like probably 5 or 6 years.
Yeah.
Like very similar. And again, she's added dynamics to it. She's added things to it, and she's gotten
also
better.
smaller now than she used to be.
Yes. But the things that she does, the transitions that she likes, the way that she leverages her flexibility to stay in the guard, to look underneath you for leg locks, to go for the ankle lock or the heel hook or the knee bar, the entries that she uses are the ones that she was using like brown belt.
Yeah.
A little bit into purple belt for some of them, but like it's very known. Helena Cravar and the New Wave team and Danaher planned around that. And when Elizabeth later in the match goes for an ankle lock to heel hook transition, you see the switch flip in Cravar, and it goes from she's running through a series of sequences, she's looking to pass, she's doing good jiu-jitsu from top position because Clay has gone to the guard, and then as soon as Clay drops back for this foot lock, you see Cravar go up, and you see the positioning immediately change, and she immediately starts hunting for Clay's back.
Yeah.
And then from there, she gets the back. Cravar's leg is kind of a little turned in a very flexible way.
But I think that the position that Helena has is an easy position if you have if you're a female with flexibility.
Yeah.
Because it's not really a horrible position because your knee isn't really. She had her foot, and your knee is kind of at an angle, but
Right.
you can still come up into your
I
foot.
moved. I watched this. I was like, "Is your knee actually in danger?" I moved my foot close to this in the couch.
I think this is if the person going after the leg isn't controlling your hips.
Yeah.
It's very easy to bring your hips in. And then she just kind of overcommitted to the leg. And when she overcommitted to the leg and didn't keep Helena's hips back off of her, it was like she just kind of came around the corner.
Yeah. And then you're left with, cool, I have
Yeah.
the foot lock, but I'm not in a position where the foot lock's too low. I'm not in a position where I can break the foot because now I can't hip into it because
Yeah.
their hips are behind me. And Helena just goes for a naked choke, transitions, Clay kind of gets out, and then Helena has a great hand fight, which, again,
Yeah.
very impressive on someone like Clay, and then eventually gets the rear naked choke. I wish that I had kind of more analysis to make on this matchup, but it was really...
It was exactly what Brianna St. Marie did to her in Absolute at Worlds.
Yeah.
Like the exact same thing.
And it was like Clay's game is almost a little bit too predictable
Yeah.
at the super high level where it's like, you know her entries, you know what she wants,
And I think
you know how she's going to commit for the legs.
Because I think before also it was the fact that she was going in on your leg and she was so known for her leg locks.
Yeah.
That she kind of like, there was a little bit of like, you were kind of scared when she would jump onto one of your legs. So a lot of girls wouldn't fight through it or try to get through it because they were like, oh shit, she's going to break your
Or
shit.
honestly, like
You
a
know?
lot of the technique to get out wasn't there. I think now, like the entries have stayed
But I think
the
there was
same.
also a little bit of a fear
Yeah.
factor
She was
of
terrifying.
like, oh shit, she's got your foot, you're about to die kind of
Because
thing.
Clay was breaking
Yeah.
legs not left and right, but like Clay was taking legs home
Yeah.
with a frequency. That's primarily what we knew her for, was like a very good leg locker.
Yeah. Now that people practice that a little bit more often, I think.
And you saw with Cravar here with this back take, this is a drilled back take sequence that as soon as Clay entered in the leg in this way, goes for that ankle lock to switch to the heel hook, you see Cravar immediately spin, hip down, and then like you watch enough jiu-jitsu like we do over the years, you can see when something's like, oh, that was an organic thing that they did in the moment that they figured out, and you can see when something they did in camp, like, oh, that is a camp response that you have been drilling for this sequence. Like, that is what this sequence looked like for Cravar.
And a little bit later, we'll go into some other like little things that you realized were like, oh, somebody just turned it on.
Yeah.
There's a later match or earlier match,
Sanji.
really. What Sanji?
Sanji.
Yeah, where you just like it. They said Richie was winning, and then Sanji just turned it
like,
on
for real?
and
And
you're
then-
like, holy shit! And then he just like,
the heat got turned up
Yeah.
a little bit. But, this is. I wish again there was more dynamics. I was very happy with the back and forth at the beginning of this matchup. Like, it was good top pressure. Again, we've seen more and more top game from Cravar.
Yeah.
And I've been happier and happier with the developments that Cravar has been making to her top game, because like Elizabeth Clay is notoriously really difficult to pass. Like, unless she overcommits something and you can get around her off that sub attempt, like a lot of women are not passing Clay's guard because, again, she's putting her feet behind her head to get you.
Yeah.
She's regarding, and the inversions are good. As you go to overcommit for the pass, she gets under your
but
leg.
you have somebody like Helena Cravar that can do the same thing.
Yes. And it was interesting to see like the top pressure, her putting a ton of pressure in, but never over-committing on the pass to let Clay spin out kind of uninhibited into the legs again. It was like very, very good hip over hip positioning where it's like I'm trying to flatten Clay down so that I can make the angle turn and never give her the ability to enter what she is so good at.
Yeah.
And I thought it was just very well played by Cravar in a way that is showing me that, she's really continuing to develop. This is, again, one of her more high-profile losses, and now to take that back, early career, again, it's funny here. I didn't realize that Clay is 24 and Cravar is 18. They're not actually that age-wise, they're 6 years, which, again, is a lot in women's development for the sport, like experience-wise and also just like strength-wise overall. But it is very interesting to see, like, oh, they're actually a lot closer in age in their careers than I thought they were. Again, I was very impressed with Cravar. Anything else you have for this one?
Nope.
Moving on, let's talk about it. Welterweight bout between Andrew Tackett and Fabiuri. I can never get Fabiuri's last name.
Christensen.
This was super fun. This was kind of how we knew that it is an Andrew Tackett match. That dude is going to come out in 5th gear, and then he's going to drop the next gear and just try to overwhelm you.
And then he's going to fix his hair in the midst of all of it, which is really weird.
You hate it. I think it's hilarious.
It
reminds me of Uriah Faber back in the day.
It's kind of fun. Yeah, it does. It kind of does, but at the same time, it's almost like not a bravo, a bravado. What is that word? Bravado. That like irks me. Kind of the same way that when chicks wear fake eyelashes to matches, like the same kind of irk.
I love your hills to die on. I love them.
I have really weird ones, but
it's just like they make me laugh.
What the fuck? Anyway.
This was fun back and forth. Again, man, Andrew Tackett.
But I mean, he's good.
This dude, his passing. And Fabiuri wants the legs. You can tell that in the match. Like, man, Fabiuri knows, okay, I'm going to try to leg lock Andrew Tackett. And Fabiuri has good leg locks.
Yeah.
We know him as a leg locker. There's annoyingly, the frame rate on this match is like, broad, like I think it's 24 or something like that frames per second. Because I was trying to frame by frame 2 different transitions in this match. And it was one of them there. Andrew Tackett does a really interesting pass because Fabiuri goes from inverted underneath. He throws over with what would be like a saddle hook.
Yeah.
And then Andrew Tackett steps. He's overcommitted like you would go into X guard.
Yeah.
On top, and Andrew Tackett steps around, steps over like towards Fabiuri's head, and then he just steps through into like side control.
Yeah.
And I watched it. I was like, okay, I'm missing like 18 frames that I need here to figure out what the fuck he just did.
It's because Andrew Tackett moves that fast.
Dude, he did, but it was like both, like Fabiuri's legs. It was just crazy to watch. I also think
in a lot of situations, Tackett was also trying to do like the crab ride to the back.
Yes.
Like when you go and you kind of like load their legs up and then you just crab ride it and roll over. I think in certain situations that's what he was looking for. And it was almost like because Fabiuri was trying to not have that happen, that Tackett was getting almost like straight into places because he was more concerned with the back mount rather than like him just falling to side control.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of like he went to block one thing and completely left the front door open.
Yeah.
You know?
Man, dude, the pacing that Tackett puts on people is it's weird because a lot of times you see this at the lower levels where it's like a guy would just be so overwhelming, but he doesn't have the technique or she doesn't have the technique to back it up or to like be able to deal with the weird scramble situations. And you see like guys get lucky and then I think it's matches, but they run into a really well-schooled guy with a good A game and it usually for the most part,
you can kind of smack him down. Like,
breaks down. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
Andrew Tackett is super weird because he throws that level and that speed at you and then also has the organics to be able to just take the match where it's going. And then he can fall back on like the fundamentals of like this is how I pass the guard, this is how I take the back, this is how I move.
It then does a post.
It's a nightmare.
It then does a post fight and talks about all of his injuries. And you're like, huh.
Dude, get PT'd on. I want to watch you fight every month. Please don't be injured.
Maybe the reason why you have so many injuries is
because you're awesome and you play a great game that I love to watch. You should be main eventing everything, Andrew Tackett. So let's talk about the finish here. I have less technical analysis in this match because Andrew Tackett moves faster than the broadcast speed for flow.
But we found a video of this finish.
We did.
Which is wild because I don't even know where that video came from because it was an angle I never saw before.
Yeah.
So anyway, on the internet we found.
You want to break it down?
We found I don't know. You can go. You know more of like the terminology. I know the positioning.
I absolutely don't.
I know Fabiuri goes for the outside leg.
Essentially.
Tackett kind of splits the legs.
Tackett goes into like a weird open split. Like he's standing way further apart than you would normally want to stand here.
Yeah.
And then what he does is he basically blocks Fabiuri's topside leg, and then underneath he takes his knee and he shelves it like kind of like he's going to enter into what you would traditionally like like a shitty clover leaf.
Yeah.
Is what I call it. And there's a term for it. It's like honey stick or like honey. It's a double
Oh,
leg
yeah,
position.
it is a honey stick.
Yeah, it's a double-legged position over where essentially you're in a position to start fighting for the Texas cloverleaf. But because Fabiuri's legs are not like leg over leg,
Yeah.
they're just split over top of Andrew Tackett's body, he can use his underside leg to lift up, and then the heel hook just essentially is fed underneath of
Yeah.
your armpit, and you can just double grip it, and then he goes use the pretzel grip or butterfly grip.
Yeah, and
just
the
yanks.
person that's having it done to them can't really look at you doing it. They're kind of looking the other way.
Yeah, there's nothing you can do here, and it's a super wild entry. The other thing I like about the entry is also Andrew Tackett's feet are not in a really good place to be attacked. It's just that it's that really good position where you have both of their legs, you're looking at their back, and the person is looking at the ground. And then in order to get out of this, they would have to roll in a way that they're not able to because they have to roll through the heel hook, essentially. And Fabiuri, to his credit, starts to roll through the heel hook here, and Andrew Tackett is able to catch the heel hook as it comes up higher. The initial grip is low, but Fabiuri is already moving, and then Andrew Tackett finishes it by pulling back. And it's just it's a beautiful finish. The transition is awesome. There's another angle that actually shows the exact leg pummel that Andrew Tackett makes to get his legs underneath to get into that position. Andrew Tackett's wildly impressive. He can wrestle. He can pass.
Well, and he also
back.
tries to go after one leg, and then he tries to go after the other leg, and then he kind of gets the heel hook on the inside leg.
Yeah.
So he kind of is bouncing around with the different attacks as Fabiuri is trying to get like a better leg position to be able to get out of the position that he's in.
Yeah. It's again, credit to Fabiuri. He stayed in there longer than most guys would be able to. But dude, Andrew Tackett is a problem for everyone. I want to see the Mickey Gavow match.
He's allegedly doing something. He said he's not doing Who's Number One. He's moving to doing UFC Fight Pass. That's what he said his next match is at.
Okay.
So maybe is it Mikey? Is him and Mikey the same size? No, he's bigger than Mikey.
No, he's a 77er.
So who's
Mikey's under 66?
Yeah.
Could be Cole Abate, but Cole Abate is 66
No,
as well.
but Cole Abate's at ONE FC now. Remember?
Right now, yeah. I don't know who it could be.
I don't know, but he said he said he's been having a lot of injuries lately, and so now that he's not injured, that he's going to try to do UFC Fight Pass.
Make your money, man. I want to see him on every main card. He's super fun to watch. He's young. I hope he stays more injury free than he has been, but dude's a treat to watch every time. Had match of the year with Cade Bertolo last year.
Yep.
Like super fun to watch. Anything else?
Nope.
Let's move on to light heavyweight bout between Sanji Habero and Richie Martinez. Dude, to Richie Martinez's credit, man, this is exactly how you want to go and fight Sanji.
Yeah.
Early in the match, a little bit of stand-up, a guard pull, right into an outside heel hook.
Yeah.
And Richie Martinez jumps in, and he forces Sanji to roll through. And the heel hook was good. It was a good bite on the heel hook. It was legit. If a lesser grappler than Sanji.
I think Sanji gives him the head nod afterwards.
Yeah.
Like
credit where credit's due.
Yeah,
That was tight. That was a good heel hook. And then the match and then it's very much Richard Martinez in the guard and Sanji like kind of feeling like looking for the opportunity for Richie to give him a pass.
Yeah.
Not overcommitting, keeping his feet a little way. It's cool. Richie had a really good heel hook very early in the match.
Yeah.
And then passing. And I kind of getting past a little bit, but now, not overcommitting because Martinez does, and we talked about last week, has a very good guard that if you overcommit or you get low, he starts playing the rubber guard, he starts pulling you down, like you can walk yourself into problems.
Yeah.
Okay, Richie Martinez is taller than Sanji, 1 pound heavier than Sanji, and younger.
And he also has like a very unconventional game that I'm sure that unless you have somebody who also plays that game, it's very hard to kind of know and stay. Sanji's been competing forever.
He's been a world champion since like.
But
2003.
Like 10th Planet has some weird shit.
And Richie Martinez plays some weird shit.
Yeah,
if you don't have a guy
if you're not used to people playing that game with you, it can be a little
and that's how Richie gets a lot of his wins. It's just like, hey man, yes, fundamentally you know what he's doing.
Yeah.
But the reality of dealing with a long, lanky 6'2" guy that plays this is different than like the conceptual piece. So Sanji, rightfully so, kind of stays out of it, waits for his time, and then everyone online picked it up too.
Yeah.
They go, judge's favor, red. And Sanjay kind of goes, no, they don't.
Yeah,
Which
and
is
just
Martinez. And just
turns it on.
immediately hits.
Passes.
Beautiful double unders pass. I watched the double unders pass like 3 or 4 times here. Basically,
And this is the second or third time he did it because he was
Yeah.
trying it earlier. He was just not overly committing to doing it.
watch the way that Sanjay hits this double underpass because he doesn't want to get triangle by Martinez.
Yeah.
What he does is he has an underhook on the leg, and then he makes an inside step. He pushes the outside leg down, loops under it, lifts up both legs, like not with the traditional grip.
Yeah.
Like he's under, like on top of the thighs. Then he dives one shoulder. Martinez is good, so he textures back and pulls his legs back to get his legs in front of him. And Sanjay drives through, finishes, cuts the angle, finishes the corner, and then gets on top. And then it is basically every Sanjay Kimura match ever, where Sanjay locks up with Kimura. Martinez is like trying to kind of fight down, but Sanjay's on top of his head now. Something happened here that happens a lot in Richie Martinez matches that has always been odd to me. I'm not sure if you picked it up. The grip gets broken, and Martinez like taps his hand, and then Sanjay finishes the Kimura, and Richie Martinez taps like in earnest. But I watch Richie Martinez does this. I've seen him do this in other matches, and I've never quite figured it out. Like he taps early, and then the sub gets finished, and he taps like in earnest. And I saw it happen here as well. I don't know if you picked it up or not.
No, I didn't, but
it was again a classic Sanjay match.
That's back to well, that kind of leads into our next match. Yeah, it does.
But yeah, you have anything else on that? It
no,
was really just that.
No, it was just Sanjay going, oh, really, and just like turning it on, and being like, I'm going to kill you.
Pretty much, yeah. Again, it was cool to see both those guys out there. I would love to see Sanjay.
He's been doing more like IBJJF kind of stuff.
Yeah, he retired from adult competition. Again, he's 44.
Yeah.
Like, dude's halfway to 50. I would love to see him on the Who's Number One stage again. It's going to be really tough to get him like appropriate matches.
Yeah.
Which is weird. Like Richard Martinez is a very reasonable match. Like the levels are different here, obviously, but I don't really know who else because again, Who's Number One is historically a much younger. Like all these guys are in their 20s, and maybe I think
you might get
everyone's in their 20s.
Well, I'm thinking what you have to do is you have to get like a coach of somebody. You know what I mean, or somebody that's like.
There's just not a lot of top level guys in their mid 40s that are still competing at the level that Sanjay can compete at. He's in a really weird spot.
Well, and that's not in his camp.
That's a good point. Yeah. But also, like, again, look at Little Orange.
Yeah.
20, 21.
Yeah.
Like, you can give him Lovato. He's not going to fight Lovato, right?
No,
not going to fight Victor Hugo.
No.
Their guy. There's this kid's coach. Or, sorry, it's Sanjay is Lovato's coach.
Yeah.
He's in this weird spot where I can't think of any other guy at 45 years old that is similarly leveled. It's still competing.
Who is... He fights mostly him and his wife. He's probably smaller. Him and his wife do the UFC fight passes.
Canuto?
Yeah, but he's little, right?
Canuto's like 30.
Oh, I thought he was older.
Raquel is like a couple years older.
Oh, okay.
Raquel is like mid 30s.
Okay.
Yeah, Canuto's like younger than me.
I was just thinking because both of them had MMA careers at one point.
Yeah.
I just assumed that they were both like older.
I think Raquel is like 8 years older than Canuto, or 7 years older than Canuto.
Okay,
and
but she's
still not 40.
I'm just thinking they're kind of like the master.
He's
level.
also a 45er, and Sanjay's like 205.
Yeah, true.
But the thought process is there, and I appreciate it.
Yeah. I was trying to think of like retired MMA fighter turned jiu-jitsu people.
Like maybe Dorino or something, but Dorino's smaller. Again, it's like you're in this Sanjay's in this weird camp or like army of one where there's not a lot of guys.
You could do like a Chris Weidman or somebody like that. I mean, he'd probably kill him.
I watched that. I watched Chris Weidman. Back in his
Chris
prime,
Weidman's going against
Nah, GFL got canceled.
What?
GFL got canceled. The entire promotion folded.
No, he's going against Baltimore boy
Pat Downey
at the thing in
Fury.
Yes.
Who you got there eventually, Miranda?
I know. I know if I give you the right clues,
I can get there eventually.
We can get there eventually, but yeah.
So let's move on to the next bout. Anything else on this one?
No, just
I love Sanjay, and they're fun. Richie's always fun to see out there as well. Always game for it. And credit where credit's due, man. If you're gonna try to beat Sanjay, that's the strategy. You're going to get one good shot,
Yeah.
and then it's Sanji.
Yeah.
But so man, credit. Richie Martinez.
He tried.
But he got closer. He kind of got closer than I thought he was going to get. Like that's the strategy, man. You flying armbar him, and if you don't get it, it's probably going to go this way. But
you could do Luke Rockhold. He's a light heavy, right?
He is technically that heavyweight now. Yeah. I think.
I mean, Sanji would probably kill him.
I'd watch that match. I watched the set of that match. He's also younger, but
yeah, but he's like falling apart. So
he is
Sanji
physically.
So
falling
like
apart.
the two of them together would be a good combination.
Moving on to the lightweight bout of Owen Jones versus Julian Espinosa. Holy shit, man! Owen Jones is really good.
Yeah.
Like this match. We knew he was good. He won trials. He looked phenomenal at ADCC. Fastest sub of ADCC 2024. Sub over Gantimer. Not Gantimer. The guy that beat Dorian Oliveras. And then a sub over Gabriel Souza. Like, dude's good. Yeah. He looks even better now.
Oh, I'm sure.
Versus Julian Espinosa. Julian Espinosa was in this. There's a little bit of controversy early in this match that I want to talk about because I think it's interesting.
Yeah.
At one point, Julian Espinosa jumps a guillotine on Owen Jones in a transition, and I watched this over and over and over again, and there's a video that Julian Espinosa put that, hey man, he tapped.
Yeah.
And you watch it, and it's like, yeah, it kind of looks like a tap. If you watch it in slow motion.
Yeah.
I watched the full speed video.
Yeah, in the full
it doesn't. It looks like, yes, it could be.
It looks more like he's trying to grab.
That's what it looks like.
He's grabbing and trying to push away. Mm-hmm. And it just comes off. You know, sometimes when you like try to push off somebody or you're doing something.
You bounce off and move.
Yeah.
That's what it looked like to me. And I think you screenshotted me a text from Josh, not text, a comment from Josh Hinger. That was what I said.
Josh Hinger did a post about it.
Yeah, which basically was like, we watched it. I was like, that's not a position that any high-level guy is ever going to tap to a guillotine. Like, it wasn't like a locked-in arm and guillotine.
He said the only person that would tap to that would be Mo, because Mo has a crap neck.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, guy's a bad neck. But like, it was in a position where Julian didn't have the arm cranked in. The other arm wasn't in yet. It wasn't in. There was no hip control. Like, it was just something. And Owen Jones is like 20. Yeah. It's not something you're gonna. It's not something he's going to tap to, and so it's one of those.
No, and it's not a stagnant position.
Yeah.
And generally in that, you're going to have like some sort of stagnant position. Mm-hmm. You're not going to tap in the middle of a scramble.
You're not going to tap as you're falling over. Like, again, at a blue belt level, yes, you can see it.
Because you might panic.
At the top level like this for both these guys that have wins at ADCC.
And guys that, like, Owen's been training in the B team camp with all those guys.
But it was an interesting kind of wrinkle in this match. But again, I rewatched it over and over and over again. I was like, yeah, that's not a tap. It's like it kind of looks like a tap.
Yeah.
But it is based on the positioning of where everything is. Like, it is not a tap. And Julian doesn't mention it until after. Like in the I was watching what Julian was doing during the match, and I was like, he makes no note or mention of it in the match at all. He doesn't go, you tap. He doesn't say anything. He just keeps grappling.
It's kind of an afterthought.
But it was interesting. It was an interesting wrinkle here. I don't think he taps. Owen Jones from here is on the move.
He is.
Dude, this match kind of goes all over the place. It's very good. I was really impressed later in the match. Owen Jones hits a what's that clothesline? It's like an inside trip from the overhand. There's a wrestling term for it.
Inside trip.
So he's like he comes in like you're doing that drag down single leg.
Yeah.
From the inside trip, but he does it with the over, like what Hulk used to do. And Conor Gordon does that. He hits a version of that on Julian that I was like, ooh. One of the big things we historically have given some of the UK guys some shit for was their wrestling.
Yeah.
Like historically, it's not been as good. Recently, in the past 5 years, that's not as much of a thing anymore. A lot of the UK guys have very serviceable and very good stand-up.
Well, and they're also getting a lot more of like the judo guys that are coming over and teaching them because they have a judo program.
But it's still this old holdover that I had in my head of like, well, European guys can't wrestle that well. I'm like, nah, that's just wrong. Like that's not the case anymore. Owen Jones here had good wrestling, gets Julian Espinosa down. They go into the legs, out of the legs, but consistently here. Owen Jones is honestly playing a little bit more of the positional game than I expected, but I was really happy to see it. Whenever Julian Espinosa would sit down to the legs, We'd see Owen Jones also play into the legs.
Yeah.
And then when given the opportunity, when there was nothing else to be had in the legs, he would stand up.
Yeah.
And he would stand up into the guard to get his 2. And he did it over and over and over again, like 3 or 4 different times in this match. He would take the sweep when given, and you kind of forget, like, oh yeah, Owen Jones still is a newer competitor to the pro scene. He is still a guy that's been competing in like amateur tournaments with points and a lot of points tournaments.
But I think that also makes you think, oh well, he swept him, and it's just like a mental note in your head for whoever's being the scorekeeper at the time.
But it was really good positional jiu-jitsu at like featherweight or this one's at lightweight, but like I love early, because again, Owen Jones is about to have, with how good he looks in this match, I think Owen Jones is about to have a real long pro career where he looks very, very good. To see him have these tendencies at brown belt right now, and big quotes there, brown belt, like absolutely you're a black belt level grappler, but it's technically not there yet.
Yeah.
To see him making these kind of decisions where it's like, cool, just like positionally being where, even again, it's a sub-only match that goes to the decision, and consistently he's doing the right things you would want to do generally in most tournaments that he competes in, like ADCC and big worlds tournaments and IBJJF. Like, you're taking the position that's given to you, and then you're working. He's not just so hell-bent on being a really good leg lock or a grappler. Like, he's not so hell-bent on that. He's only willing to do it in this rule set. He's still playing a good game.
Well, he's not getting lazy.
Yeah, and he's present. It was very nice to see. Dude has amazing guard passing, great transitions here through, and Espinoza is in it. The entire time Espinoza is in it, he's putting up offense, but as the match goes later and later and later, you can see Owen Jones start to figure out the timing of Espinoza and start to really get his passing going. He gets a back take, he gets the same back take a little bit later, and eventually he goes for the arm trap, but just gets the rear naked choke win. Incredibly impressive for me. Like, I really like how Owen Jones' game is developing. Every time I see him go out, I am more and more impressed with his game. The way that he covers the back for turtle in transition is phenomenal. He does a little thing where he flat spins on your back of your shoulders.
Okay.
But then when he gets there, he does a little bit of a sag on your hip, and he pins his knee up higher on your rib cage into the little pit where the guy's in turtle to open up that space a little bit. And a lot of times he can roll you over from there and take the back, as generally guys will like get lazy there and not stay chest to chest and hip to hip. He does a really good job when the roll happens of being up on you and ready to put your hooks in immediately. Like, again, it looks like traditional really high-level IBJJF guys take the back, where it's like that back take is really, really good, generally speaking, for those IBJJF guys. He looks like that. Yeah. It's, again, I'm just really impressed with his game for those transitions and those, like, Andrew Tackett-esque in a lot of the scrambles, in the way that he is consistently making the right decision, and he's taking space. Every time him and Julian would have a scramble, you would see Owen get the better of the scramble, or at worst, turn it to a neutral scramble. Yeah. And it was like, that's something really, really good to see. That's all I got. I was super happy with this matchup. Anything else, Miranda?
Nope, that's it.
Let's move on to the undercard. We'll run through the undercard real quick, then we'll get the fight to win 279. We had Chris Wojcik defeating Michael Esquivel. They said it was a Woj lock. This looked like I watched it a couple of times from 2 different angles.
But it's like his own straight. I forget.
This is a belly down straight ankle.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. We can call it something different.
I need to look into. I was going to intend to look up what a Woj lock actually was, because I know it's a straight ankle, but
it's basically a reverse Aoki. Okay. But from the grip he had here and where the foot was positioned, where the tap happened, this just looked like a belly down straight ankle. Yeah. Like this didn't look like a different ankle. Like, we can have a different. We can get into the minutia of it, but generally speaking, like, I think this is we're a little into the weeds for different positions.
Well, then they have one that they call like the TRT lock, which I've heard like they have.
There's a couple
different names over
this. Again, credit to Wojcik. I like watching him compete. Looked like a belly down ankle lock, with a shotgun grip or a variation of a shotgun grip for it. But again, probably very impressive. We have Alan. Anything else on this, by the way?
Nope.
Alan late replacement.
Magenzo.
defeated Colin Carr via decision. This is a fun back and forth match. Not a whole lot. B team versus New Wave, so you know it was a grudge match. Allen was coming in as a late replacement. Again, I always like to see guys coming in, having a good match. It was fun. I think it was back and forth, but I think it was a very good decision for Allen. We had Ben Eddy defeating J-Dog, Josh Weiland via triangle choke. Really impressed with Weiland's passing early.
Yeah.
Like, we know he's a good Virginia wrestler.
Yeah.
He's now done at B Team. He's good buddies with J-Rod.
Yeah.
A lot of that style is in there. His passing is great. Again, Ben Eddy is very happy to kind of have moved through it. The style matchup here is not in Ben
Eddy
Eddy's
will
favor.
also let you pass his guard in order to get close enough to you so that he can start his offense.
Yes. I thought Weiland did a great job here of consistently passing north-south.
Yeah.
Settling north-south. Like, the speed and the way that he passes Ben Eddy's guard, very impressed by. Like, just, it was very, technically very sound. The timing was very good. And the way that he closed the space on Ben Eddy was very good for this weight class for 55.
Yeah.
Like, Josh can will be a problem for guys come trials, because I think he's gonna rack score a lot of guys on points if you can't put him away. Ben Eddy is a OG veteran, and he starts to hit a Hindolotine from the guard, and then modifies it. Weiland stands up, and then Ben Eddy sweeps over to mount from it and finishes the triangle.
He puts him in a triangle for a long fucking time.
Like almost 2 minutes.
Like a long time to be in a triangle. And it he moves it a little bit, then he goes this way. It's
Ben Eddy is a submission artist.
Yeah.
And he's been front choking guys.
Josh Weiland stayed in that triangle a lot longer than
most
I
people
thought
do.
he was going to go out. Yeah. I was like, he's just going to go out.
We've seen Ben Eddy do it. Like, Ben Eddy has a great Hindolotine, a great triangle. He is a really tough dude if he locks onto you to get off. Again, this seemed like a prospect loss for Josh Weiland. Like, hey, you deal with a guy that you can out-wrestle, that knows you can out-wrestle him, and is going to wait and bide his time, because Ben Eddy's like, yeah, man, I've been here before.
Ben Eddy actually stood a lot longer than I expected to.
A little bit.
Like, he, stands a little bit.
I think from a stylistic matchup, this makes sense. It was like, yep, Weiland's very good at wrestling. He's got good passing, but Ben Eddy is not really, I think, worried by any of that. He's like, hey man, I'll get you eventually in the guard, and then that has been Ben Eddy's game for almost 10 years now.
Yeah,
he's like, hey, eventually I'm gonna have a weird rubber guard down. I'm gonna get this front choke, and then I'm going to turn it into me choking your neck.
Yeah,
and it was a classic Ben Eddy match. Again, I would love to see both guys on Who's Number One again. I do like what I saw from Josh Weiland, the passing and the timing.
That's
really
kind
good.
of what you have to do to beat Ben Eddy, is you kind of have to impose yourself and be just like a crush person.
And then not make a single mistake. Yeah. That's really what it is. Like, if Ben Eddy, the blueprint to beat Ben Eddy is
unless you can be like so much stronger and so much bigger than him that you just kind of like, completely make him unable to do anything. If not, it's like you have to play that I can't make any mistakes.
You have to play he is lava and he will burn you.
Yeah.
And that is, it's a classic Ben Eddy match as old as time. Like, he's getting beat, and then yes, I'm an amazing gifted submission artist, and here it is. So again, it was a fun match. We also had Taylor Hillshaw versus Trinity Penn. I haven't seen Trinity Penn here in a bit. Taylor Hillshaw, better wrestling, better top position.
I saw her 2 weekends ago at Finishers.
Yep.
She won the 125 belt there.
Yeah, Hillshaw's good. We've seen her a lot of main character. Really, we are starting to see Taylor a lot more, and I've been impressed with her game. This was a little slower pace than I would have liked, but it was really just Hillshaw dictating from the guard, dictating in the passing, and then Pun really not getting a whole lot off and going, and then Hillshaw kind of takes a reasonable decision, mainly on positional work and offense and just activity. It was a good opener match, and that's all I got. Anything else you got?
Nope.
I would love for these guys, for Flow, to not have commercials for a paid service. That was super frustrating. And I would love them, because the matches are scored in aggregate, not to show on the bottom the judge's favor, because that makes it really confusing. They're still doing that. And it's still, again, we talked about it last time, it's still really confusing to have someone that'll be like up 2 rounds and then the other guy win. You're like, I don't think it happened on this card.
Yeah.
But it is really confusing as a viewer to see like, hey man, flash it maybe on the screen or like on the bottom.
Yeah.
And then make it go away because it's just scoring for that criteria.
Yeah.
It's not for the whole match in aggregate. So it's just like the system they have for displaying that. Again, I like to have a system. It's just confusing for the viewer to remember how they actually do it. So that's it. Overall,
But
again,
yeah,
I like the card. Just don't start so late.
Yeah, and the commercials.
The commercials
really
are
weird.
they're unforgivable for a paid service. Hey guys, we already paid. It's already not a cheap service.
All of
for
mine
Flow.
were in Spanish, and I do not speak Spanish.
Just let me pay more money, guys. Like I already pay whatever it is.
I don't want to pay more money. I want you to put the commercials where it does commercial break. On the actual program, it says commercial break and shows you like the shot of everything. Then give me
Have
a
the commercial tier flow be cheaper.
because then I can pee. Then I can go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
Then I can wander around my house a little bit, and then we can come back and we have matches. And I don't have a commercial in the middle of the match.
I just hated that I was going to watch the footage, and I clicked on the main video, not live video.
Yeah.
And I had to sit through a minute of commercials before I could even start watching the video. I was like, guys, I pay
Didn't
for
you?
this
Oh,
service.
you hit the co-main, and it was only the last 18
Yeah,
seconds.
they part of the video is wrong. Yeah, they're doing, again, there's no results on Flow. Like, Flow continues to piss us off in a myriad of ways because I want them to be better.
Some days sometimes it is.
And it is.
And then
it's
and
so
then other
hit and
times
miss.
it's
It's just
not.
been frustrating the past decade because sometimes it's great and sometimes it's not. And it just like stuff like this is pretty unforgivable for like a paid premium service. And then you have ads that like play before videos. I'm like, I have YouTube. Doesn't do this. Netflix doesn't do this. Like other services, there are lower tiers of accounts that do this. But there's also an account where I was like, hey man, no ads. I want to open my Flow homepage and not be inundated with banner ads. And it's like, whatever I need to pay to do that, just have me do that. Just let me pay the service so I can go to Flow as a great resource and like an entertainment service and not look like I'm on BJJEE.
Yeah.
So that's my point. Moving on to Fight to Win 279 in Newark. This was main evented by Juni Ocasio taking on our buddy Eric Naples. This was for the 135-pound belt. Even though we know that Eric Naples is like usually a 25er historically. He'll go up to 35, but historically a 25er. Juni looked good.
He did.
And Juni's the champion, so we know he's good. We've been been watching Juni's do pro
this
belt.
time we got to see Juni's passing, or at least his back takes, which we generally don't see. We generally see him
as a leg locker
on his butt, kind of trying to go into the legs, and sometimes having problems going into the legs. This time we got to see him pass Eric, who decided to play guard for most of the match.
Again, this was really good. A little frustrating here at the end. We had the exact same pass, like textbook, exact same pass into Eric turtling, and then Judy going a crab ride, spiral ride, and then taking the back. Eric gets out of it, and then a minute later in the match,
does the same thing.
The exact same turtle sequence happens in the exact same back. It's cool from a study perspective because you can watch exactly what Junie is doing in order to A, force Eric to turtle like this, and B, then take the back. Again, beautiful back take both times, but it was a bit like frustrating to see the exact same thing happen to my buddy back to back times. Again, eventually, the first one Eric gets out of, Junie's going for the arm, goes from the back take to the arm bar. The second one, Junie slides up and goes triangle arm bar from the back.
Yeah.
Again, great match.
The triangle arm bar from the back is very hard to get out of without starting something else.
Without just being like, every time someone gets out of it, it's like, that's wild you got out of it. It's never, and it never looks good. It's always like, I'm always just surprised more than anything. I'm like, how did you get out of that? And he gets out. But again, great match. Junie retains the title. He is still the 135-pound champion at Fight to Win. And again, I love the dynamics of his game, both the legs, but now also we know he has good passing and good back takes. So it was a very fun match to see.
Yep.
So let's move into the preview section of the show. BJJ Stars 15. Not a whole lot to talk about for this one because we don't have brackets, and nowadays I don't like to preview events with no brackets.
Yeah.
We have a bunch of main card fights. Let's talk about the bracket first, and we'll move into the main. We'll move into the super fights.
Okay.
Nogi GP. Mika Galvao. Roberto Jimenez, who replaces Gabriel Almeida because Gabriel Almeida's out. Elijah Dorsey, who is, Oliver Taza, Azaki Behance, Thor, John Blank, is replacing PJ Barch because Barch is injured. Jontas Gracie, Isaac Michelle. Interesting in this bracket, we have a mix of guys that are historically 85ers
Yep.
and historically 77ers.
Yeah.
So it is interesting, like John Blank, Thor, historically a guy at 88 kilos. Azaki Behens, historically 88. Oliver Taza, historically 77. Elijah Dorsey, 77.
Yeah.
Miguel Gavao, 77. Roberto Jimenez, 45 to 120.
Yeah.
Recently has been competing 85 and higher, but won trials at 77.
Thor just won. He just won New York Open versus Bones.
Devontae?
Yeah.
Oh, I did see that match.
It was the Open. It was the New York Open for IBJJF recently.
Huh.
He just won I think he won heavyweight and he won absolute, I think.
Again, Thor's really good.
He's been doing a lot more IBJJF events.
Yeah, the past couple of years, I think,
Yeah.
actually. Jontas Gracie, 88. Isaac Michelle, 88.
Yeah.
So again, a good mix here. It is going to be always tough for the guys that are losing, that are the smaller people in these brackets. Again, half these guys could win this entire tournament, realistically, because it just depending on the bracketing, depending on how it lines up. So I don't want to make too many picks. Roberto Jimenez has looked amazing at Bulletproof lately. Miguel Gavao has looked amazing recently. Thor, again, talk about Thor's recent wins.
Yeah.
Oliver Taz is in there. Elijah Dorsch is in there.
As long as Roberto
Hence,
comes in as the
Farrell Jimenez.
Farrell Jimenez.
Yeah, man.
Wearing his
poncho.
His poncho that he seems to wear all the time. And,
dude,
ready to
this
take
is
heads off. Then
very fun. I would love to get a Miguel Gavao Roberto Jimenez rematch.
yeah, that would be fun.
Would love to see it. I really want to see it.
And
so.
both of them jumping over each other.
Dude, that would be the match. Like, you got to put them on different sides of the bracket, but that would be really,
Yeah.
really fun to see. Again, we haven't seen Isaac Michelle in a little bit here. Super curious how he looks. Again, Jontas Gracie looked really good in his
Yeah.
last outing at Fight Pass Invitational. So again, very fun bracket. I'm looking forward to covering it next week, but we just don't have a bracket yet, so I don't want to
And it is
guess into the
it
wind.
is on Flow, which is great.
Yeah.
Because they signed some kind of new contract with Flow.
Yes, like pretty recently actually.
Yeah.
So on as far as the main event, we have Miriam Maguire versus Diogo Hayes, Baby Shark. Super fun. Again, I don't have a lot of technical analysis for that right now. Diego has been a little not hot and cold recently, but
I think these are all gi.
usually for the super fights.
Did you like that question, gi?
Gi? Question mark? Because we're doing a no GP, but
I
usually
think
the super
all the
fights-
super fights are gi.
Possibly.
I think the pictures are in the gi.
Who knows? We have Eric Muniz versus Adam Wardzinski as well. Should be fun. Wardzinski has been on a tear recently. Muniz has also looked amazing. I think Muniz is bigger, but
He is.
I'm amped to see how this goes out. We also have a matchup that I have been wanting to see a rematch of for a bit here in a pro fight card. Gabby Pisana and Tiny Porfirio. The two generations kind of coming to clash again. I am
They're
really
all
excited.
pictured in the gi.
Okay.
So all the super fights are gi.
Pisana's won the last couple versus Porfirio, but I just think that if there is a woman that would be able to beat Gabby Pisana, it would be Tiny Porfirio, just because she has the weight, she has the stature, she has the guard game, and the passing to be able to do it. She hasn't been able to do it yet, but that's why I'm curious, because, again, no one else can beat Gabby Pisana with any regularity right now, and so I'm very, very excited for this one. We also have Leo Ferreira versus Igor Bito, and those are the main fights for BJJ Stars 15.
Yep.
So, yeah, that's all I got this week, Miranda.
Nope. I was just looking to make sure no one else changed because last minute they just added in what's it called?
Barch.
Barch.
Sorry,
Or
Thor. Thor
Thor.
replacing Barch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, Thor. No, they just added in Roberto today.
Oh, yeah, Roberto got added today, replacing Gabriel
yeah.
Almeida.
So, but it's always fun. BJJ Stars is always a party too.
I wish we had English commentary that was like,
I'm hoping because maybe Flo did the contract with them. They won't do the random guys in the room like opposite of the event. So,
Yeah.
Because I want to know what happens like between the matches. They have like a freaking party.
it's a party. It looks
and
awesome
they do
as
like
shit.
they do like all
They have like
kinds of shit.
dancers and like events and like they turn into a whole thing.
And the American telecast, we don't get any of that because we have to go to the room with the dudes in the room telling us about what happened. We don't get like the fun.
Well,
Brazilian shit.
I always just watch the Portuguese telecast.
I should just watch it.
Because it's just
But then
a
I
lot
get
of fun.
lost because
I get
I
lost
don't know what
too,
they're saying,
but
and I'm like, what,
what I need to do is just open 2 streams so I can do that anymore on flow and like have the English.
Can
and
you
just
do
have,
that? Can you do that on-
Not sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. But
Oh.
that's all I got, Maria. Anything else this week? You got going on fun?
No, I'm hanging out,
Nice, doing the same thing.
doing jujitsu and
Doing drywall is what I'm doing.
doing drywall.
Doing drywall. So hopefully we can record in the studio soon.
Yay.
So that's the hope. But that's all I got, Maria. Anything else?
Nope, that's it.
As always in the show, I'm your host, Maine, my co-host.
Miranda.
And we are the Grappling Rewind. See that where it is. Stay safe. If you like the show, please consider sharing it on Facebook with the folks at your gym. It's the best way that we grow the show, and we really appreciate it. You can reach out to us on email.
We also have Instagram. We have Facebook. We have Twitter. We have Google+.
Until that shuts down.
We have a website.
If you have an event you would like to have us cover, please let us know. If you have a name, like most people do, and you'd like to have us stop butchering it,
Let us know.
reach out to us. The show is also available on YouTube, Spotify, in addition to iTunes and every other podcast service. We very much appreciate your time, and thank you.